good morning. I'm Brent Adams here with your Rural Strong Morning Ag Report for this Monday, October 30th, the 303rd day of 2023. Leading off the headlines this morning, an American Farm Bureau Federation official says just a short-term extension of maybe a few weeks will be needed to write a new farm bill, but complains that lawmakers should have done their job already.
If I was king for the day, we wouldn't need an extension. Congress would actually do their job and would have had this done before September 30th.
American Farm Bureau Federation Managing Director of Government Affairs, Ryan Yates.
With the margins that we have in Congress, Republicans and Democrats have to work together to get a farm bill done. I'm convinced, despite the distances between chair and ranking in both the Senate and the House Ag committees, that they can come together, that they can find a way to get past these differences and get a farm bill done.
But with just a few legislative weeks left to the year and a new speaker facing many other challenges,
Congress can do what they want. If Congress needs more time, they'll give themselves an extension to get the job done, just like they do with the appropriations process. If they run out of time, they'll get a CR. If they need to give an extension, they'll get an extension.
One demanded by the clock.
Looking at the calendar, it's hard to see where the farm bill fits in from a legislative day standpoint. It will be certainly a challenge.
Yates says he's hearing in House circles that only a few extra weeks may be needed, not the one-year extension Senate ag leaders are considering with the presidential election year coming up. Meantime, Yates says Farm Bureau will continue to press lawmakers to, as he puts it, do their job and get a farm bill done as soon as possible. Well, in the third quarter of 2023, the corn sector wrapped up the 2022-2023 marketing year and entered the 2023-2024 marketing year. Geopolitical tensions and international dynamics continue to be factors in the market. Looking ahead, a National Corn Growers Association webinar says the war in Israel could have larger implications for corn if it spreads throughout the Middle East. On the macroeconomic side, interest rates continue to rise while the economy remains strong. That makes it a challenge to forecast an economic landing, especially considering geopolitical factors. Despite widespread drought across the Corn Belt during the growing season, the U.S. is positioned to produce one of the three largest corn crops on record. That positions the U.S. to have enough grain needed to fulfill demand. Even with the strong competition in the world market, the outlook for demand for ethanol, feed, and exports is more positive than it was last year. Well, the landscape of land ownership has evolved over the past 25 years as generational transfer of ownership takes place. A Farmers National Company report says a strong ag economy has driven the market higher for several years. Most landowners have seen steady increases in value during the past 25 years, but especially within the past 3 years. FNC says one market dynamic farmers can always count on is change. Politics, world events, and other factors will continue driving that change in the agriculture economy and land values over the next 25 years. Generational transfer of land ownership will continue bringing changes to who owns the land. One constant in the market is the fact that more farmland is not becoming available. FNC says the U.S. loses an average of 1.8 million acres of farmland every year, which will only add to the limited supply available and more change in the marketplace. Well, East Africa holds significant long-term growth potential for U.S. feed grains. Earlier this month, the U.S. Grains Council sent staff and members to the region as part of an engagement mission to discuss current upcoming programming, current partnerships, and opportunities for American feed grains. The council has been active in East Africa for more than a decade, working to promote the development of a commercial poultry and feed industry in the region to meet the needs of a rapidly growing population. The USDA estimates that by 2032, Africa and the Middle East will account for 43% of the additional growth in world coarse grain imports. The team kicked off the trip by attending the 10th African Grain Trade Summit in Uganda. The conference brought together business leaders, policymakers, and other stakeholders from Africa to talk through issues and emerging trends in the grain sector. Other stops included Kenya and Tanzania's poultry show. And finally, this morning, historians tell us there are ancient agricultural ties to our present-day Halloween observance. More from USDA Radio's Gary Crawford.
Halloween, Halloween. Halloween, trick-or-treat, jack-o'-lanterns, costumes, spooks. Today it's a big deal, which began in ancient Celtic cultures and actually has agricultural origins. For the Celts in the British Isles, October 31st was the last day of the year and...
It's the beginning of preparation for winter and the end of the growing season.
Agriculture Department historical expert Ann Efland says it was time to bring livestock in for the winter, which may have led latter-day historians to connect Halloween with some sort of mysterious druid ritual of sacrificing animals, but more likely,
it may have developed from the practice of killing animals at the end of the harvest period to reduce the number of animals you're going to feed, and you can prepare your meat to be available throughout the winter.
But even so, the ancient Celts seem to believe that on October 31st, the unsettled spirits of recently deceased folks could roam the countryside playing tricks on people.
And there's some research that suggests that the dressing up was a way to scare them off.
And from those ancient traditions, we still have our harvest festivals, dressing up, and trick or treat. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.
Well, you can keep up with the latest from the world of agriculture by subscribing to the Tractors and Troubadours podcast from Rural Strong Media. Each week, I bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot button industry issues, educational features, and the best in traditional country music. The Tractors and Troubadours podcast can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We also invite you to join us daily on Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com or on the Live 365 streaming radio app for your mobile device. Each day, we bring you our award-winning agriculture programming, as well as the best in traditional country music, mixed in with a little bluegrass, western swing, southern rock, and inspirational music. Again, the place to find Rural Strong Radio is ruralstrongmedia.com or the Live 365 streaming radio app. We're portable, so take us with you everywhere you go this harvest season. We'll get you through those long, challenging days this fall. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another Rural Strong Morning Ag Report here on Steve Shetler Media. Make it a great day, everybody.